And so you do the tours. The other ones are kind of self-explanatory, but so all employees of the Lighthouse Service are required to obey readily and strictly and execute with promptitude and zeal all the orders of their superior. Each person is to show an example of morality and devotion to duty. Now that is something I'm sure you remember from signing your job contract, right? As you came through. There are rules for everybody because it's not just me, but we're living here with 3 families up to there. So there is no nagging, petty annoyances, fault finding, or the employment of uncouth language. And under no circumstances is there any malicious talebearing. And that's in bold right there. Everybody knows malicious talebearing?
Sounds pretty vague.
Well, better known as gossip. Yes, and so all the
Funny, my mind went somewhere else.
Yes, and then finally we've got personal character. So of course, men would be applying for the job. Women, you could apply for it. There was no law against it. I've never known of any women lighthouse keepers here. There were women lighthouse keepers in the East Coast. We did have women that came and they were laborers in between jobs, or somebody got sick, but not actual lighthouse keepers in this side. So all employees are required to show a good example of virtue, honor, patriotism, and subordination. So ladies, what do you think? How do you think their gentlemen are gonna fare on that? Careful. Okay, so gentlemen, 1885, you able to be subordinate to the United States government, the Lighthouse Service, and me?
Pass.
Not me.
Really? But in 1885? But you're not eligible, so we're talking about gentlemen. It'll be a pretty good job.
Sure, it's a good job.
So, and then catch the second part, and exact similar conduct from those under your jurisdiction, your wives. So lady, you're able to be subordinate to your husbands, right? It's in 1885? How do you think that was answered?
Well, that's probably was answered.
Yeah, so times change. Now, don't put any value, you put values on whether that's right or wrong, but back in 1885, there's no question. And actually, in the Lighthouse Service, there were efficiency pins that you would wear if you won that. And it wasn't just you. I mean, if your house is not clean when the inspector comes, you're not getting an efficiency pin. And so it really was a family type of thing, and they had a pennant, you know, that if you got to fly the efficiency pennant, that was for the whole district, and you got to do it for the full year, and such like that, kind of a, you know, this award thing. So again, times really are different and they change.
Is there competitions between lighthouses?
You know, I don't know so much in that way. I haven't heard of that, but, you know, I mean, to some degree there probably
Well, I
was.
must get the living number.
Yeah, well, there are some lighthouses that are certainly you're gonna want. This is probably one of the ones that is gonna be best because, you know, you're near a town, it's not so isolated, you got nice housing. The opposite of that would be Tillamook Rock, where you're on an island with 2 other men for a month at a time, sometimes longer if the weather's bad. Where would you choose? You know? And so I think you've got competition with that, and, you know, certain communities. And then you probably also add, you know, communal, or not communal, but community rivalry. You know, God, I'm not gonna go, I'm from Coos Bay, I wouldn't go to Newport, you know, those people up there, they're weird. And so, you know, again, I'm doing a lot of supposition here. So, good benefits, other requirements, you better be able to go up and down those stairs. Those tools are not just pretty, you know, so fixing things, you're gonna really wanna do with that. And then, you know, again, and then more than anything else, the ability to get along. I mean, you imagine if you're in a community where there may be 10 people living next door to you, 10 to 15 people, you're living right next door to you, you get one person that's not getting along, it can get pretty uncomfortable for everybody pretty quickly. So that's also something that also will be one of the requirements here. So any questions at this point?
Why are there still no female lighthouse keepers?
Well, there are. I just say in the West Coast, I haven't heard of that. Usually a female lighthouse keeper, usually 2 things. One was they were a spinster, or somebody got sick or died. You know, we're talking 1885 right now, so, you know, really, you know,
But in present day,
In present day, there's only one real lighthouse keeper left in the whole United States, and it's more novel,
Oh, okay.
and that's in Boston, so there
Okay.
aren't any lighthouse. And as I get further in the tour, you'll
Okay.
kind of understand, and I mean, even over recently, so basically today, the Coast Guard is the real
I see.
lighthouse keepers, and
Okay.
even the Coast Guard, recently women are just
That's
joining
right.
to that society, and there are women, but, so it's time, goes over in evolution or whatever, devolution, whatever you want to call it. So what do you think the main, I think I already defined, the main job of the lighthouse keeper is keeping the light lets easy, but it's the maintenance that goes with it. So even simple things sometimes become complex. Our oil, anybody know what oil we're using in 1885? Same oil.
Whale oil.
They're gonna use same oil in Arizona,
Oh,
not in Peoria, because it doesn't exist. But
Coal,
no whales in Arizona.
coal, oil,
Coal, well, it's actually pig oil.
big one.
So lard oil, that was the main oil of choice, that most people are gonna be using lard oil there. And very simple oil, it's kind of like a kerosene lamp. One problem though, if it gets cold, it gets thick. So that means you gotta keep a fire going all the time. So that little job of just moving the oil has become more complex. And then, of course, you've got to get it to the top. So we use 1 to 3 gallons a day. It's a 3-gallon bucket right there. And can I ask, would someone like to grab that? Let's get some weight. I have that back, so and you can just go pass that around. Unless you want to take it to the top, we'll wait for you.
Oh, no.
But give you an idea. Go ahead.
Nothing in it.
You pass it around, feel the weight, see how much it's going to the top.
What's that, like copper?
It's a copper, that right there is probably about 10 to 12 pounds. It's got 8 pounds of weights in it, plus the bucket.
Yeah.
Feel like 25 minutes at the top, though.
Well, it would feel like that. And, but during the winter time, you'd probably be taking about 2 to 3 of those. You're using about 3 gallons, 8 pounds per gallon, and about 3 gallons a night. About 1 gallon burns for about 4 hours, more or less. All right.
So you do that throughout the night? then?
Huh? Oh, no, just once.
Just once?
You just take it up and there's a supply reservoir and you dump it in. Actually, during the daytime, usually it was taken up, so the person on the night shift didn't have to deal with the oil. It was usually on the daytime shift. Now, if you're in the East Coast, it'd be completely different. Or in Michigan or Maine, those areas where it's just extremely cold, you're taking it up and then you're reheating on top because it's so darn cold there. And a lot of those lighthouses would shut down in the winter, just too cold. The shipping industry would stop in the winter too.
And the supply lard would come in on the ship?
Supply of what lard came in. So this is our oil room here. You're welcome to look in that. I'm not going to talk in there, but we would keep about 8 to 10 oil butts, about 100 gallons of oil. So you pretty much had a supply, and every time the supply ship, 2 things. One is they restocked, and they also checked up on you, use their dipstick to see if you were using too much oil or too little, and you were dipping into it yourself, etc. That was one of the checks and balances.
Did supplies come in via wagon or
2 ways.
from town? Or
2
is there a
ways.
skid that
We
came up?
had a boat